animal guides and spirits will come to you in many forms, inside of dreams, as well as in your awakened states. Seen with the eyes is also seen with the heart. If you can be aware in the moment of what the animal is trying to tell you, listen well, for they may be giving you the answers that you seek.
Greetings in love, light, and wisdom. I am back to talk about spirit animals and totems. This is an exciting topic for me because I'm going to take it in a different direction. A lot of you know about animal spirits and a lot of you know about totems, but I will go through the basics of understanding that because that's the basic understanding of Elven wisdom, because that really stems from understanding the natural world and what animals are here to show you, and they're here for much more reasons than just grazing on earth or being used for food or hunted or just looked at. Everything within your reality is a message for you. It's a sign, and it's something that you take in to your experience. And when you are aware and you can read those signs and those messages, either through numbers, through symbology, and through spirit guides and animal totems, you will understand your life a little bit more. And it will help you along the way to understand what it is that you're here to do. Spirit animals and totems are two different ways that our higher self, in the highest dimension possible that you can imagine, where it is just light field and all vibrations and frequencies emanate from that space. When you're at that light field, what happens is the vibrations and the frequencies, even though mathematics play a very big part in the idea that that's your vibrations, that's your frequencies that start to emanate into the physical world and make the matter around you and the reality around you that you experience. There is another side to those vibrations and frequencies, and that is archetypes and ideals and virtues that the collective establishes within the story that it is currently in. So within this universe, within this galactic story, we know that when we think about a deer, all of us immediately get that image of the deer. We know it by the behavior that it is created with. It moves gently, and you can see the deer and understand the deer in its mannerisms. So then you can understand how the deer can relate to you. And so animal totems are those that are part of your personality. When you see a certain animal, you will just kind of think that that's you. You just know in your heart it represents the way that I move, the way that I behave, the way that I talk, the speed I talk, the speed I walk, the speed that I vibrate in, the pace that I take my life in. Think about all the qualities of that animal that has manifested in your reality, and then when you resonate with that frequency of that animal, that's your totem. That is your special, significant vibration being mirrored back at you. You may have one, or you may have a few totems. I have a few totems that represent who I am as a person. And whenever I see those animals, I feel this kind of kinship, this kindred spirit with them. The lion is one of my totem animals. The blue morpho butterfly is another. I'm wearing my blue morpho wing necklace here today. And these animals symbolize you. The lion moves very much as I do, in the idea that I'm constantly looking for my herd. I'm looking for that tribe around me. And at the same time, the lion is fierce and is fearless and is unafraid of really kind of taking charge when it needs to, and will defend all of those around them. Yet the blue morpho butterfly follows me all throughout my life because it symbolizes that I am a soul that's constantly evolving and transforming. I must have come out of my cocoon about 8 or 10 times. And that really is a very deep symbol for me of transformation. That is just a part of my story, that I would be a soul that would experience all of these evolutions and growth changes and transformations. So if you have the butterfly as a totem, or you have a big cat like the lion as your totem, now you can understand. And maybe you do, and that's why you resonate with me, because those animals kind of carry the same frequency. Yes, I have the qualities of the lion, but I also have the qualities of the butterfly. I like to flutter around gently, and I like to go from one thing to another, and I like to see everything, and I like to fly high above, and that's very much like my personality. But then I have the lion to ground me. So those two are strong totems within my life. I also have a totem of the barn owl. The barn owl has followed me within my life through every phase. The barn owl symbolizes being able to see into the spiritual realms. It's a bit known as a creepy type of bird in the idea of the way that it moves, and it's a predator at night. And when some people see these barn owls, to me, they're beautiful creatures, but to some, they're scary. And they have represented for a very long time in the pagan paths and in just kind of nature, wisdom, the idea of being able to see into the spiritual realm and being able to see things that are not quite noticed by others in the physical realm, and being connected to that other side of this veil, basically, and being in touch with the spiritual realms, being in touch with ghosts and energies that cannot be seen, but you feel it within you. So the barn owl has always been my totem animal, and that type of frequency of the barn owl resonates with me in some way. But a totem animal is one that stays with you for your whole life. You just absolutely love these animals, and they're with you always. And I have others, but I'm not going to really talk too much about myself. But I will say that the deer and the unicorn are also totem animals of mine, based on different qualities and the way that they represent something within the collective. So the unicorn is my fantasy side, my ability to imagine my dreams into fruition in a magical way almost. And then my deer side is my hypersensitive, extra sensitive, gentle side that comes out in times when I need to show compassion to others, and I want to be there for others and show them a gentle soul to reflect back kindness towards them. So when you take the qualities of the animals, that makes you you. Now, your spirit animals or your spirit guides are those that will come into your life every now and then to represent something to you, to give you a message, and they can be souls that take that form for that just temporary moment for you to notice. So for an example, this would be hummingbirds. Hummingbirds are my spirit guides. They remind me to kind of speed up a little bit, get more efficient of a worker, and stop kind of lazying around. And I can tell when a hummingbird comes into my life, I get this kind of jolt and this feeling of energy within me. I love hummingbirds. And so I know that the hummingbird comes to me every now and then, but I don't see hummingbirds a lot. Even when I'm just looking through the internet and I pass on a picture or something like that, I'll just kind of get like this instant kind of feeling like, oh, that's a message for me. The idea about spirit guides is that they will come every now and then to offer you a message from your higher self. Like I said, we are in this reality to receive messages, to notice things around us. The reason is because when you are in such a dense physical reality as a higher dimensional, multi-dimensional being, and we have all chosen to play in this world together, we get a little bit lost in the idea that we forget why we are here. We can get lost in the struggle on earth. We can get lost in just making the money and making our goal happen in terms of an earthly career and an earthly job, but we're not yet thinking about our spiritual selves. And so the spirit animals or spirit guides will come into your life to remind you once again of your spiritual message, your higher message coming from your higher self, to tell you something that needs to be known at that time. So that is the difference between the idea of your totem animal will stay with you for the rest of your life, and your spirit animal will come into your life every now and then. I have another example, the fox. The fox likes to come into my life every now and then when I go to like a wilderness area and I will see a fox. And my parents actually have a fox that comes in their backyard. And so when I'm home, sometimes I get a glimpse of the fox when they feed and leave their leavings out for it on a tree stump. They like to pretend they have a pet fox. And so when I see that fox, I know, I'm like, well, that's a reason why I am connecting to the fox. I'm seeing the fox, and I notice the qualities of the fox. They're sly, they're cunning, but yet they're playful, like dogs. Sometimes I get the wolf, and sometimes I even get a spider. I actually get the spider a lot, actually, because I used to have a fear of spiders, and I still do of the larger ones, but I definitely get the message from spiders. The weavers connect everything together. And so when I get a flash of a picture online, or if I run into a spider in my house in a corner and I see it somewhere, I know that that is a message for me. Everything in this world is a message from your higher self if you can read into it. If you can pause and stop and read into it, you can then get yourself on track. You can move towards what it is that you always wanted to experience without getting so distracted here in this physical reality. I think a lot of people are really waking up to see this earth for what it really is. That yes, it's a playground, and it's also part of our story of what we wish to experience right now during this lifetime in this particular universe. But at the same time, it's not utopia. There's a reason for that. There's a reason why we're experiencing the world issues that we are. We're experiencing them so that we can experience the triumph and the victory within changing and altering them. And that's a wonderful experience to have. And so when you can get in touch with that as a soul, and you start to piece together your special mission, what is it that you want to do? Do you want to start a company? Do you want to start an organization to help others? Do you want to be a trainer or a counselor to people? Do you want to be a teacher? Do you want to be a doctor? Do you want to be someone in law? Do you want to take over and help politics in that way? You were meant to do. You came here to experience that. So follow that with everything that you have. And that's something that I have learned too with my blue morpho here, helping to remind me of that. And so when you can get in touch with these animals, really understand their qualities, the way that they move, the way that they think, the way that they act within the animal kingdom is a reflection of you. And when you look at the whole animal kingdom and what happens to a particular species, it's a reflection of us. It's a reflection of the collective. So next time you see an animal, try to think to yourself, have I seen this animal many times? Is this animal something that I feel really is part of me and who I am? Is it something that I just absolutely love and I feel this kinship towards. That's your totem animal. That's your special, unique totem animal. And when you embrace that totem animal and you embrace that spirit within you, you are going to open up those qualities within you to a higher level, where it's not that you will just sometimes have those qualities. Like, for an example, the lioness. For a long time, I did not embrace that as my totem animal until really lately. So the lioness would come to me and I would feel really a lack of confidence, and I would look to the lion as like, oh, the king of the jungle, and I would see this image of what I was not. I was not yet embracing that was always me, that I always had the lioness within me. And that's why the lioness came to me when I was in a very hard time, and I had a wonderful psychotherapist that really changed my life because he was a shaman as well. And he put me back on the path, which I was faltering a little bit within my early 20s. I was always a very spiritual person, but I really got hung up on finding love, finding romance. And in the city, it's very hard sometimes. So I got very depressed and very sad by meeting the wrong type of people at the wrong time. And it just broke my heart. So I went on this journey with a psychotherapist and a shaman who opened me up to the idea of what are spirit animals. And the first one that came to me as I closed my eyes, and he put me into this trance of seeing what it is I wanted to see next in my life. What was it that my soul was yearning for? And the number one thing was confidence. A sense of self-esteem is something that I lacked for a very long time. And so you may not have the qualities of the totem animal yet, because you have not answered to the totem animal's call within you. You have not embraced the totem animal inside. And once you do, all of those qualities, those wonderful qualities that you love about those particular animals, a dolphin, the deer, a bear, a wolf, all of those beautiful qualities that you love so much in animals, you will embrace. They will become part of you. You may not take it the otherkin route, but you may embrace it inside of you more internally, being aware that that's you. That's who you always were. And you just needed to finally get that message, that it's part of your vibration, it's part of your frequency, it's part of why you are here on earth and what you can give to the world. And your spirit guides and your spirit animals, next time you see an animal, and you don't really see it often, but you see it every once in a while, and you notice that it comes to you when you're feeling certain things, and you know that I see the butterfly every once in a while kind of fly into my life, and when I do, there's a particular thought that enters into my head. Well, yes, because seeing visually that animal aligned to the frequency of the animal and you, and gave you that message that was always waiting inside of you to hear. And we just forget so much when we're on earth, and we need a little bit of help. And so when you start to see the world through the eyes of symbolism, through the eyes of higher messages, then you start to follow a path that has always been laid before you, but you just could not see it until now. And the thing about the Silmarillion, the reason why I brought this book in here, is that Tolkien had an idea about spirit guides or the animal totems. And I'm sure that you can guess, he had a lot of different animals within his story. You had the giant spiders, you had the eagles of Manwë, and you had the deer of Nessa. You had the Lord of the Horses that really connected to Gandalf. you had all of these different animals, dragon, to represent different aspects. Because Tolkien was taking those qualities that we all know exist in this world and applied it to give us a higher message within these books to your higher self. So when you saw that the eagles saved Frodo at the end, that was a spirit guide. That was a spirit messenger for Frodo. Now, because it takes place in this fantasy tale, Frodo actually sees those eagles come, and they're giant eagles, and they lift him up and they bring him to where he's supposed to. But if you had to take Frodo into the real world, and you thought how an eagle would come to him as a spirit guide, give him a message, maybe it would just show him the path or lead him towards a way of going back home, of escaping. So there are lots of different ways that when we look deeper into everything that's around us and that comes into our life for a particular reason, it can offer you counsel and also direction. I think that that's the number one thing that I have received message upon through emails, and I love it. I will help when I can, help kind of steer you into the direction that's best for you according to what you love, what gives you joy. No one can really know what that is except for you in your life. But you do have these little messages and these little moments of clarity in which when you see an animal, that's something that can tell you something about yourself. Now, of course, it's not every animal, but if you have a cat that comes up to you and snuggles on your leg, and you're standing outside and the owner's not around, and you don't know where you had this cat from, well, that's a spirit guide, or it's a totem, depending on how much and how frequent. Remember, it's about frequencies and sound waves and vibrations. So the rate of frequency that you see this animal determines the more resonance within your soul. The less frequent you see this animal is less of a resonance within your soul, less of a vibration, but it still means something to you. And I talked a little bit about that within my first video about kind of the Pleiadian connections and the things that, really kind of radiate with me. And I'm noticing that there is a common thread amongst different animals. They seem to represent different star families as well. And it's really fascinating when you can start to kind of read the collective story going on. The dolphins, it's more like the Pleiadian energy, just the way that they are. Then you also have, the Lyrans. They're more like the lion energy, and you feel that. There's the lion energy, and you have the Syrians, the cat energy, but the Syrians are also water beings too, because there's lots of different beings within these different constellations. So you have the water beings then, and then they're more like, the whales in that way. And there are so many different ways that you can start to experience animals far more than just in earthly means of just, taking care of them, appreciating them, and unfortunately eating them. You can also look at them as a message for you. And when you do, that changes your life, because you'll get that message that you just needed to hear to give you that little bit of a push towards the direction of your joy. I believe that a lot of souls on earth have forgotten how to follow their joy. We get so stuck here on earth, and part of my challenge within that awareness is to let go of the anger towards society that has kind of molded itself to kind of zap people of their personal joy. That the only types of joy sometimes people have is a small amount that they create, but in some way it's taken away by either the state or the way that law is governed or the way that you have to go to work, and we work far more than we play. But I do believe that we are here to experience the unrest of that in order to experience the rest later. The peacefulness later will come. And so we are in that time of a great shift. And during a time of a great shift, you're going to get more and more animal guides, spirit guides sent to you, and you'll have your totem animals be more present in your life, because these are all ways that kind of activate a soul. Make sure that they don't just leave this earth without knowing their true mission, especially for starseeds, and especially for those souls that want to leave a mark on earth. And it's not enough to have a normal human life and then die, but you are here, and you know and you feel inside that you were born to create something. You know inside that you were born to leave your mark in some way, even if it's just to help that one person, even if it's just to be somebody that inspires others. I got a wonderful message from somebody that I could just feel their energy today, and he was like, I have a leader life path, but I'm not quite sure how to follow that right now. And I said, well, leading is not always through physically leading. It's through leading by example, leading with your heart, leading with your intuition, and being an example for others. And when you're an example for others, you wake other souls up that are maybe sometimes trapped a little bit within this material world, and they forget about themselves. They forget to follow their joy. So pay attention to your spirit animals and your animal totems, that when you embrace your animal totems, you will have all those qualities and powers of those animals given to you to create something, to do something that you always wanted to do, even if in a time and in a moment, in a situation that you need those qualities. Protect yourself, get away from something, invade danger. These are the qualities that you want to embrace within you if you are on the path for total awakening and awareness within, and you like nature and you want to do it in a natural kind of way. This is part of the Elven spirituality, and the idea that when you can learn how to embrace the spirit guides and the animal totems, when we get into the Valar energies of Tolkien and I start making those videos for you all, then you'll understand when those certain Valas come to you and you feel their energy and they represent a universal energy in the universe. They represent an ideal or a virtue coming from Eru Luvatar within the Silmarillion. And when I do a video on each of those Valars and then you learn about them, you will know how to embrace those qualities in your life and enhance your life completely in that way. So, hand and lay for watching, and I hope to see you all on the next video.